Hey everybody, hope you had a great holiday. It is Linda and I am back at CAM getting ready for bread week next week. The week between Christmas and New Year's, I'm gonna be baking all sorts of bread here at CAM. One of the breads I'm gonna make is sourdough. So I brought some of my sourdough starter from home and I'm gonna bulk it up and give it a good feed here so that it is ready for us to use. So a couple things that you need to feed a sourdough starter. You need a scale, it's essential. You need your sourdough starter, a container, flour, and water, and that's pretty much it. So this starter is part of a starter that I've had for probably 9 years now. So it's been bigger, smaller, all sorts of sizes. I brought some of it here to CAM, gave it a feed when I first started, but this is really the first time I'm using it. So gonna make sure that I have plenty of it for next week. So I've tiered my scale, and what that means is that I've put the container that I'm gonna use on, turned my scale on, and it's set at 0. And I always weigh my starter ingredients in grams just because it's a little more precise. So I'm just gonna take my existing starter, I'm gonna give it a stir, and I am going to add it to this container because it's important for me to know how much it weighs. And in this case, I am using my whole starter because I wanna bulk up. But you can use just a section of your starter. If someone gives you a tablespoonful of starter, the process would be exactly the same. If you're just doing a regular feeding, you can take half of it out, freeze it, save it for later, and then do the same with half. So I've got a total of 189 grams here. So that's my target number. So what I wanna do is I wanna hit the tare button again. It's gonna reset to 0, and I am going to add 189 grams of flour. Because I'm doing all sorts of different things with this, I'm using all-purpose flour, and I like to use one with a high protein content so that it's good for bread. 190, close enough. Then I'm gonna make sure that I add equal amounts of water by weight. So I'm gonna hit tare again, and I'm gonna add 190 grams of water. A little bit more, that's okay, it'll just be a little bit wetter, not a problem, but close enough. So the reason that I do it by weight is if I did it by measure, so a cup of flour and a cup of water, I'd have a really wet or overly hydrated starter because a cup of water weighs 8 ounces, a cup of flour only weighs about 4. So you wanna make sure that you have equal parts. And I'm gonna give it a stir. And it doesn't even have to be perfectly stirred. But I do want to make sure that I scrape it down so that I know where my level is. And I am just going to loosely cover it when I'm done with that. Leave it out on the counter until it comes up to about the full size of this container, because I'm about half full. Then I'll cover it tightly and throw it in the fridge until I'm ready to use it and take out what I need. And be sure to check in next week on our Facebook page for a couple of sourdough recipes. I'll be doing a traditional sourdough as well as a sourdough brioche hamburger bun.